Hi, welcome. Thank you all for joining this webinar about flexible and rapid development with MCUXpresso from NXP. My name is Clemens Valens. I work for Elector, and I will be assisting our guest presenters Kyle Dendo and Daniel Hu from NXP. So, hello, Kyle. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be on the webcast and talk to all of you about our freedom experience. So thanks for having us, Clemens.
Yeah, you're welcome. Kyle, you focus on improving the ways that enablement software is delivered, I read. Can you please explain in a few words what that means?
Yeah, so I work at NXP, and my main responsibilities are the SDK, which is our software library, and our IDEs and our configuration tools. So really helping make sure that those tools are best in class and that customers can use NXP devices and have the software and uh, the IDEs that help them develop products quicker.
Okay, thank you. Also with us today is Kyle's colleague, Daniel Hu, or how, I don't
Hey,
know exactly how you pronounce that. Hello, Daniel, how are you doing?
good. Hey, everybody. Really excited to be on the call.
Great, great. Nice having you. Daniel is a technical marketeer at NXP, and he supports emerging microcontroller and microprocessor use cases for the industry. Is that right?
Yep. Yes. Just in complement with Kyle's team, we support, the product that's our microcontrollers and processors.
Okay. If I understood you well, you're both in the same room actually at the moment.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we're in opposite corners with another gentleman.
Okay. Okay. So today we will look at the new MCXN and MCXA series of general purpose microcontrollers from NXP. And we will also look at the FRDM Development Boards and MCUXpresso, the software development tool, the IDE from NXP. And there will be a lot of information, but don't worry if you can't follow along with the presentation because this webinar is being recorded and will be available afterwards on the Electro TV channel for replay. At the end of this webinar, you can ask questions during the Q&A session. So having that said, let's get started with the presentation.
Thank you, Ethan. Hi, everybody. This is Daniel here. Welcome to the webinar. Before I hand the floor to Kyle, I want to talk about our vision in terms of enabling the flexible and rapid development with MCUXpresso to all of you. And I want to start that with a concept called flexibility. So if you look at our end products as a system developer nowadays, you will see a lot of added features onto your end product. So basically, if you take the example as a fridge in your home, right? So if you look at a typical old fridge in the old days, on the left-hand side, you're talking about designing a fridge with maybe like a compressor control, some temperature sensors, a knob for kind of like an analog sensing with your analog to digital converter, those kind of simple control loop. So essentially, that's a simple, I would say, single functionality kind of system. Where if you look at a typical fridge right now, you still have all those control loop in there, but added to this, you have, for example, a big screen with human-machine interface. You'll have even a touch slider, touch buttons on your fridge. You'll have even voice recognition, built-in machine learning, built-in AI, built-in for your fridge. So that's really showing a added complexity to the end user or to our customers who are designing the product nowadays. So as a semiconductor company, we're really trying to pierce through all those layers of complexity so that, as an end user or a system developer, you can have a really simplified journey towards the end products. And if you pierce that down, there are really 3 layers we're talking about here. First one is, of course, at the heart is the hardware foundation. That's your microcontrollers, your microprocessors. And then secondly, you have different technologies added to one product. For example, as a fridge, you have power conversion, you have HMI, you have graphic display, all those kind of different technology requirements. And at the end of the surface, where really interacts with the user, that's the theme of today, is to have a developer experience or have a platform for you to really simplify and be flexible in that prototyping of your end product. So this is how we as NXP define our own kind of approach for our users to really make use of our hardware to make the end product. We talked about first layer, that's the hardware and software foundation, and then in between a system level solution and the hardware, we really have a layer called technology pillars, and those are really the technology building blocks that you can utilize to build up a end product or system level solution. So we're talking about security and connectivity that we focus on. There are 12 technology pillars that we define that we think are going to be really, really helpful for your end product to be designed. And this is how we're really trying to simplify the journey of your product development. So we cannot really talk about anything without talking about the hardware. And this is really, today's theme is about the MCX. We're really excited about this new platform. This is, our new Cortex-M based, microcontroller platform moving forward for our industrial and IoT focused market. We already launched 2, major series of the whole platform with 4 families launched earlier this year. There are going to be more and more new products coming up, so we're all excited about it. And if you look at the whole portfolio here, right now we have announced 4 series so far for the MCX platform. The MCX-N is really the big brother here with all the integration. It's a highly integrated MCU. We're really talking about adding more co-processors, accelerators, intelligent peripherals in there, so that enables you to not only use the MCU as a single kind of task platform, but also a multitask platform with different kind of functionalities, things like the AI/ML acceleration, for example. And then the MCX-A, we're really focusing on being scalable, meaning that we have a pretty wide range of memory and package options, so that you can have your design moving up and down within this whole series. And then for MCX-W, that's W stands for wireless. So for this one, we're really focusing on building up a MCU, but with wireless added on top of it. So you can almost treat it as a general purpose MCU, but with wireless integrated onto the device. And then for MCX-L, this is where we really focus on a always on, what we call kind of applications, where you see those kind of applications coming up nowadays more and more, where you not only need the device to be, for example, in sleep mode, but also in kind of dynamic mode all the time, always sensing, always listening. If you think about the smart home, think about industrial, all those kind of devices that runs off battery, that needs to listen to a command or sensing something, all the time. So the MCX-L is a perfect fit for that. All of the series are we are really trying to form a scalability story together, and that leads together with the MCUXpresso Developer Experience, where you have a unified developer experience with portability and usability. So for the technology pillar side, I kind of touched base through some of the technology pillars, but I just want to kind of take one, AI/ML, which is kind of like one of the hot topics nowadays, as an example. And just because that the MCXN series that happen to have a NPU or neural processing unit embedded, we're really trying to, you can see how we are trying to enable certain technology with a combination of hardware and software. And that goes back to the scalability story again, where if you talk about edge AI, that's really enabling different functionalities on the edge with machine learning, and you need different kind of integration or different kind of horsepower on different kind of use cases or applications, and that's frankly how we are trying to build a scalable platform for all edge AI or all machine learning at the edge. And that starts from our MCX MCUs with MCXN plus the neural processing unit, but also all the way up to a Atom X9 application processors. So with this kind of scalability, we're really trying to pair a suitable hardware integration with a targeted use case for machine learning here, so that you can do all the way from multi-object detection or recognition to a time series data, for example, or anomaly detection at the edge. And we also pair that with a software enablement. So that goes together with the MCUXpresso user experience with our EIQ software toolkit, so that it becomes a scalable and unified user experience for AI/ML as well. So this is just an example of how we want to approach those technology functional building blocks, so that you can form a total system solution together. Oh, sorry. And then with that, I'm going to hand over to Kyle to talk about really in terms of rapid prototyping and flexible prototyping with our development platforms on system level solution building.
All right, thank you, Daniel. Yeah, so as Daniel just kicked off, we want to make sure all of you are familiar with how to get started with the new MCX products. More importantly, with the Freedom Development Experience. So I'm going to go, you can see here, talking about more of that system level. Once you've selected the MCU, once you've identified the technology pillars, how do you get started? What NXP is trying to do is get in your hands either a reference design, a proof of concept, or what's that last one? Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sorry, it's covered up. Software packs. So we have those three ways to deliver to you an example that can get you started quickly. So I'm going to go through that. What we kind of label this as is the that Freedom Developer Experience, or that Freedom platform. So this is a really nice graphic showing you that NXP's brought back the very, very popular Freedom form factor. But before I jump into some of those details, let me establish sort of a baseline of what we have and what we enable you as a developer. In order to take advantage of all those technology pillars and all of the benefits of that Freedom platform, we need to have a strong base with our MCUXpresso ecosystem. And that, as Ethan mentioned, is my primary focus. You can see here, there's three elements to what NXP delivers to customers. The first is we want to make sure that you have the right tool to develop. But more importantly, we want to make sure that you can choose that tool. As NXP, we want to allow the developer, we want to allow you to choose the tool that you best like to develop in. So you can see we support different IDEs. We provide two very powerful tools to develop with. We have a VS Code IDE, which I'll talk about quite a bit. Our MCUXpresso IDE, which is very, very popular based on the Eclipse Foundation type of environment. Then we have the IR workbench support, and the ARM Kyle MDK IDE environment. And we support all of those with our tools, with our software, so that the developer can choose what they want. But you can see below that there's quite several other tools that NXP delivers, whether it's our configuration tools, our security tools. We have some debug enablement tools that are listed there. Daniel mentioned the machine learning with EIQ. So NXP is constantly adding tools that will help you get your design done quicker. The software though, so in the middle column there, we have continued to improve the way we deliver our software to you as a customer. We've always allowed you to download the MCUXpresso SDK from the website, from our MCUXpresso builder, or in the IDE of your choice. We have some integration there where you can grab the latest SDK. But we're working on new and improved ways. We've listed here the Open Synthesis packs. This will be one delivery method that will work within IAR, ARM MDK, or within our MCUXpresso IDEs. So you can get the same software and use it in different platforms. We're also working all the time to improve our Zephyr enablement. We have a strong Zephyr platform that we'll talk about in this webinar, but also FreeRTOS. So giving you the software that you need for your applications. And then the last bullet there, I'm going to talk a lot about Application Code Hub. We talked about those different designs that we're trying to get to you. This is the way that NXP is going to help you get started quickly. And then the last column is the hardware platforms. And that is where that freedom experience is coming back to the customers. So I'll touch base on that and share with you how the freedom boards are coming back and helping you get started. So this is the freedom board. We showed you one view, now we have another one. And you can see immediately what we're trying to make clear to you. This is a very flexible platform in the sense that you can get started with all of these different technology pillars. You can use shields. We have several different shield interfaces, whether it's Arduino, whether it's the Micro E. We even have LCD interface for our Flex IO. So we have the ability for you as the developer to get access to all of the peripherals, but use them in standard shields to get started quickly. Okay, so we've introduced the ecosystem, how we believe you can get started quickly and get that foundation of software support and tool support. I want to have you leave this webinar with two very strong understandings. One is our Visual Studio Code environment. We believe that this is a great way for you to get started and get up and running quickly. And then the second one, after I cover this, will be the Application Code Hub. How do I get the software that I want to start evaluating NXP solutions? So let's jump into Visual Studio Code. Some of you may know Visual Studio Code. It's one of the most popular new development environments being used by software developers. And the primary reason is it's just so fast. Software developers like to be able to initiate their file, launch it, and start developing right away. You can launch VS Code under 5-10 seconds. Normal development environments in the past, you could go get a cup of coffee while your environment is booting. So Visual Studio Code is extremely fast. The reason being, as it shows here, it was developed by Microsoft to be an editor first. And that really allows you as a software engineer or a development engineer to work on your programs and on your projects. And what we've done at NXP is we've extended it with an extension. So the MCUXpresso for VS Code extension provides all those embedded development tools and wizards that you come to expect from NXP. And so it sort of extends the base Visual Studio Code and allows you to develop within it. And then below you can see we've taken advantage of the very popular and easy to follow CMake and ARM GCC project environments. And then we are enabling our configuration tools for those that want to have the additional configuration of our devices or the peripherals. So there are three things in Visual Studio Code that I want you to walk away with. The first one is the MCUXpresso installer. So once you install our extension, one of the benefits of our work is that we've added this installer. One of the most difficult things to do when you're developing with software is install all the required tools and dependencies. If you click on this installer once inside of the tool, you'll see that it launches a tool that NXP put together. But on this right side here, you can see that we're installing up to 10 or 12 tools that other suppliers, other vendors require you to install on your own. Those can be very time consuming and very complicated. You could go to up to 5 or 6 different websites, have conflicts with your Windows installation. Whereas with NXP, we take the complexity, we take that hard process out of your requirements. So this is a huge way to get started. With Zephyr alone, that is a very complicated process that if you click this and then click install, your environment will be set up and ready to go. The second thing that you should understand about the Visual Studio Code is, as I mentioned before, all of the wizards. Visual Studio Code is fast, it's quick, but it's as I said, an editor to start with. So what NXP's done is arm it with the ability to import your SDK, find examples quickly, and work with projects that may be on your laptop already. Here you can see the installed repositories. You can have many different sources. If I walk through real quickly, the first thing it does is it allows you to import remote SDKs. You can see down here, this is the NXP GitHub SDK for MCUXpresso. You can also choose the Zephyr project SDK. Or if you have OpenSynthesis packs, you can develop with OpenSynthesis packs. So it takes all of the work out of that and allows you just to determine where you want to store your SDKs, and it'll import them. Similar to our other IDEs, you can just click on a remote archive, and what that allows you to do is grab a single device support. So here with the MCX, you're able to download the SDK just for that device, or you can search for other devices and grab that single package and get the latest drivers and libraries. If you already have one, all you have to do is point to the folder where you've already started working, and it will import that SDK. Likewise, if someone has shared with you the archive SDK, or maybe you've gone to MCUXpresso Builder on the web and you've downloaded a package, VS Code allows you to import that repository quickly. So all these wizards really help you get started and quickly integrate NXP in that fast development environment, VS Code. And then the last thing on Visual Studio Code is this is our first Zephyr development environment. It allows customers to use NXP devices within a Zephyr project. You can see here, I already showed you how you would install the repository, so I've installed my Zephyr repository. But now I want to import a project. So what I'll do is I'll click on a new project and it'll open up another wizard. You can see here I've selected my Zephyr repository. I've chosen the version of the SDK that I want to develop with, or maybe my project requires. Then I can choose amongst the different boards that are supported and then choose the projects. So it really allows you a quick way to get started with all the examples or partner software projects that exist. It allows you to establish that project, whether within the repo, within the workspace, or in this case, a freestanding application where it will just create a working environment outside of whatever folder you choose. So that's Visual Studio Code. It does, again, allow you to get quickly started with NXP development, with your Freedom board, and in Zephyr even on top of that. The last thing I wanted to touch base on is the application code hub. So we talked about the technology pillars. We talked about those proof of concepts, reference designs, or software packs. This is where we are putting all of that software, all those examples for you to get started. If you break it down, the very minimum thing that the application code hub is, it's where you're getting application examples from the NXP engineering community. So these are all of the engineers at NXP who are constantly trying to figure out ways to implement those applications with our devices. And so they are loading those applications into this public forum, and they're allowing more customers to get access to the examples that they've proven. So this is the version of our website. You can go in here and you can see on the left, I can maybe be fancy with a laser pointer. Over here, you can navigate and filter on your device the type of project that you want, and it'll filter here and show you exactly what applications are available. So what is underneath the hood of the application code hub? Well, we're leveraging GitHub. And why is that important for you? It's because you get to take advantage of Git utilities to manage your project. You can browse through the Git environment. You can clone those projects. You can monitor if they've been updated. The other nice thing we've done is we've added a consistent README file. So when you get our applications, it's no longer a text description, but a very rich description of what exactly the application can do and how you can load it, and then what the results should look like. So you can use normal Git or GitHub manual operations, or what we prefer is that you take advantage of the IDE integration. So as I showed you in VS Code, we have this little quick start bar up here. You can see there's an application code hub option here. Once you click on that, you see a very similar user interface as you did on the website. You're able to browse, filter, look for keywords. You'll see the different applications that are available for you. And then if you just import that, you'll get that project created right inside of your workspace. You can get quickly started. You can see on the right here, this is that consistent README file with the clear description, some nice graphical screen captures, and then below that, more results and how to get started.
Going back live. All right, that was the presentation. Very interesting. Thank you very much. Daniel is not. There he is. Daniel, welcome back. So before we go to the Q&A session, I have a queue myself. But you showed this all for VS Studio, but I'm used to MCUXpresso in the Eclipse-based environment. Does this also work in that environment or not?
Yeah, so we highlighted Visual Studio Code. There were a lot of questions about that, but the application code hub works within MCUXpresso IDE, and then all of the Freedom products are supported within MCUXpresso IDE. So yeah, we're still supporting both. As I mentioned in the presentation, NXP wants to offer the developers the choice, and so we support the Eclipse version that you mentioned, our VS Code version, but we also support the MDK Kyle tools and the IIR tools. The app code hub that I mentioned actually has probably about 12 projects that just work in IIR. So we still continue to support other environments.
Okay, very good. Okay, well then let's now move over to the questions from our audience. Where did they go? There it is. Here's our first question. So what is the difference between platform essential and advanced security?
So I can take that question. So basically, this is our way to kind of distinguish our security offerings based on use cases. Basically, if you look at platform security, that means that, for example, the MCXN, there's this concept called silicon root of trust, right? So everything, the key you generated, all the secure information is coming from your original, characteristic of your silicon, and MCXN is capable of, using the silicon root of trust to become the secure management device for the whole platform that you're designing with other chips, meaning that it can manage, key storage, secure provisioning, all that with the other chips on the board. Versus, if you look at essential security device, the device itself is equipped with, lifetime protection, encryption, all those kind of, security features. But you are likely to be relying on another secure element or secure management device for your whole platform. So that's, basically, how we kind of distinguish between the security features on our devices. A lot of them are pretty similar, so I'd recommend to look into details in the data sheet or in our, content and collaterals. We have, more comprehensive videos or content app notes to, explain the actual security features in each device.
Okay, thank you.
And I mean,
Oh.
that was a great answer by Daniel. But for the non-security guy like myself, one of the things I always look at is just having that secure enclave on chip, right? NXP is a leader. At least I believe we're a leader in the security space, and we've sold those external chips for quite a while. And the SE050 and other products are very popular. The N actually integrates a lot of that core technology into the silicon itself. And so when you go down in the product families, we remove either features or we actually remove the entire external chip, and then you rely on more of the ARM security architecture or software security features versus that hardware security engine.
Okay.
Exactly.
The next question doesn't have anything to do with this subject. I looked it up, the PRH601. It's an RFID reader, so we will not answer this question.
I just want to mention that if you go onto our website, nxp.com, go to the product page of the PRH, we do have, 3 products that we recommend that are in production. So, it's not like we are not, investing in this technology anymore. So, I highly recommend to check out those devices that are recommended on the product page.
Okay, well, that's a good answer. So are there any plans to integrate the HC08 and 12 into MCUXpresso?
So that are not, as far as I know, a plan to integrate them so far. I think, as I said to the previous question, we have, really developed a really strong portfolio in MCUs that cover the functionalities, for example, for those older devices. If you look at our newer MCUs like the LPC 800 based on the Cortex M0 Plus, it's a more powerful device, very easy to use. It's meant to be the replacement for a lot of 8-bit devices. So, again, I highly recommend to check out those MCUs that are included in the MCUXpresso.
Okay, they're not going to be discontinued, these?
No, they're not.
Okay. Another MCU question. When will the MCXW be available?
So unfortunately, that's a more of a under NDA kind of question, but really, we just announced the MCXW, but we're looking at pretty recent, I'll say, towards second half of the year, we're looking at going production with the first MCXW. But I'm unfortunately not allowed to disclose any actual date on the launch.
So if this person wants more information, he should contact you and then sign an NDA, and then if it's really important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Next question. Are the FRDM boards or MCX microcontrollers supported by Arduino, or will they be?
Kyle, do you want to take that question? Oh, sorry, he's having a connection situation. So I can take that question. So right now, I don't think the FRDM board and MCX controllers are supported by Arduino. However, we're basically kind of taking that concept of Arduino where it's really easy to use, and Kyle introduced the application code hub and all that. This is all for people to quickly jumpstart with their project. I highly recommend you guys to try it out. The whole ecosystem is really easy to use, really easy to get started with. The board is compatible with a lot of Arduino Shield. That's why it has the Arduino header there. So we're keeping posting more and more examples that are related to Arduino Shield, on the application code hub.
You also mentioned the micro E click boards. That's
Yes.
also yeah.
Yeah,
That
so
is.
I would repeat what Daniel said is our Arduino support comes in the form of the shields, and those are adopted by NXP. Most shields that NXP produces uses the Arduino. We call it the Freedom header because we have some NXP specific additional pinouts. It's actually a dual row, and so the secondary row is the NXP signals, but we use the Arduino form factors for standard shields. And then we use micro E, the click boards, and we also support. Uh,
I can hear you, still hear you, I think.
you can still hear me? Okay, well then the last one is the PMOD connectors,
Okay.
another very popular shield. So yeah, so that's how we're supporting all of those different add-on boards that people can use.
Okay. Where did my mouse go? There it is. Next question: is there an equivalent of Visual Studio Code for native Linux?
Yeah, so there was a great thread going on in the chat, and that is why we are very engaged in VS Code. It has a native um, installation for Mac OS, for Linux, and for Windows. So it's not a virtual, Windows environment. It's native, and Microsoft has supported those three. So as the people have mentioned there, you can install it within Linux, and the user interface is very, very similar. And that is the other benefit is when we do our documentation or training, we don't have to have a Windows version of training and a Linux version of training. Users of those three different platforms should have a more consistent experience than with Eclipse when you're less accommodating. So yeah, VS Code is we're excited about it, and it supports all three platforms.
Okay, great. Next question, that's already answered. What is the importance of the new MCX family?
So can you guys hear me? Sorry, I got dropped.
Yes.
Okay. Very important. This is basically our essential mainstream MCU platform moving forward as an XP for industrial and IoT customers. We have the IWMX processors as the Linux platform. We also have the IWMX RT, stands for real time. That's for high performance crossover, what we call crossover MCUs. And basically the MCX is going to be the mainstream MCUs. So moving forward, those three, I guess, product series is going to be what we focus on really as an XP.
Right.
Just to repeat, Clemens, what we talked about earlier with including the secure enclave, right, and adding this new IP. So basically, the MCX has taken the LPC family, it's taken the Kinetis family, a lot of those IP blocks after the merger of the two companies. These are the first products that are taking the best of both worlds, but also adding these new cores from ARM. We're adding new NPU support. We're adding the security support. So that's the importance of the MCX is really this, as Daniel mentioned, it's anything new is going to be based on the MCX, and you're going to see in the next 6 months really a large growth in the different varieties of applications that the products will support, and the price points and the functional blocks. So Yeah, NXP is fully invested in microcontrollers, and so we rebranded to MCX so that we could make it easy for customers to not have to say like, oh, you have Kinetis, oh, you have LPC, oh, you have all these varieties. We're leading with MCX as a brand so that it's easier for customers to uh, associate it with NXP.
Okay, but the LPC I know quite well. They were rather small microcontrollers. These are the 33 core controllers, right? So
Correct.
it's not the same level.
Actually, the MCX A has a M33, so that would be where they bridge together. And in the LPC, we released a new product just this year. So there are pinpoints where we're adding new products into those legacy families. But like we said, anything that's kind of uh, taking on new technology or addressing new application spaces, I think you're going to see those addressed by the MCX family. The LPC, as we just said, the 55, some of the older family, they are fitting an area that the MCX is not necessarily going to take over right now, and so those products will remain to be supported.
Okay. The next question is, does this native VS require Eclipse as well?
No, well, it's kind of a two-part question. So to develop within VS Code, NXP integrates a lot of the new project SDK integration, the ability to work standalone. A lot of the other competitors or suppliers, they provide an extension, but it still requires you to download their primary IDE. NXP, our VS Code extension is pretty complete. We continue to add new features. We know that it's not uh, apples to apples with the Eclipse version, but you do not need to install the Eclipse tool. There's no need to install the Eclipse tool. The second answer that I was going to say is we still have our configuration tool. We still have our security tool. These are standalone tools that help with very specific applications. And so we still require those for embedded workbench. We still require those for the MDK microvision platforms. And so VS Code just launches that standalone tool, and that is actually Eclipse based. But it's very focused on pins and clocks and project configuration that is not necessary. It's more of just a complementary tool.
Okay. Yeah. Any guides for the use of freedom boards in IoT? Or any guides at all?
I would say, the best practice will be check out the application code hub. We have a lot of examples related to IoT. Something I can think of, some sensor applications that can be the sensor node in the IoT space, and not only in, kind of consumer space, but also, we have a flavor in the industrial space IoT as well. We have for example, industrial panel example on MCXN that controls the motor, has a HMI interface, and then can be connected to the internet. So that's another IoT application, for example. And we will definitely have more and more application examples when we actually launch the MCXW, because that's really your wireless MCU that can integrate some sensor functionalities with the wireless connectivity.
You already mentioned wireless. The next question addresses
Sorry, I
also
have
Wi-Fi.
just a quick follow-up on that is we also work with our partners who are IoT centric. So we have partnerships with a lot of customers, but ones that are IoT focused are Memfault for remote diagnostics for IoT consumer products. They have projects targeted at the Freedom Board, and they're available. You go to their sites. We do promotions and webinars with them. Goliath for web connectivity. They provide that service, and they have a project that's on the Freedom Board. Wolf SSL provides a an optimized security library for IoT applications for like remote updates and OTA, MQTT connections to the cloud, where they swap out the embed TLS library and they put in the Wolf SSL or Wolf TLS libraries. So those types of applications target the Freedom Board. You can look on our website, or as I mentioned, a lot of these software partners, they're already targeting the Freedom Board because that's the platform that we're suggesting all our partners use moving forward. So customers should be able to go to those partners who deliver security or IoT applications and see that they're actually targeting the Freedom Board.
Okay. I already pulled up the next question. So why is there no Wi-Fi on the Freedom MCX N947?
So as Kyle introduced the concept of freedom, we really want this development board to be, easy to access, low cost, so very user beginning friendly, and then we really want this board kind of to become the foundation of a building block. Think of it as a Lego project, right? So we have all kind of connectors, like Arduino connectors, like the the micro E connectors, where you can actually connect any kind of wireless module on top of the main controller to do any kind of IoT design or in project development. We also have plans to enable our wireless MCU to be actually used as one of the shield, so you can actually put the wireless shield onto your Freedom baseboard to do your project development wirelessly.
So we do have, Daniel mentioned that industrial control board. That actually has a Wi-Fi enabled project, and it uses a Murata click shield. We also have some Arduino shields, Daniel alluded to it, from Azure Wave that use our silicon for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity that can sit on top of that Freedom Board. So like Daniel said, we have the connectivity. We will launch those applications in the application code hub. So we have the one, I know because I work with it daily, that we have several IoT applications for wireless connectivity that are in the pipeline that will be pushed out in the next few weeks. But the direct answer to that question is what Daniel said. We're relying on shields to keep the cost of that baseboard inexpensive. But we have Arduino shields from Azure Wave. We have and Murata, and then we have the Click shield from Murata to allow people to use that Wi-Fi or Bluetooth connectivity.
All right. Next question. Various flashing boot options for the MCX controllers. I suppose, yes. Are there many boot options?
Yeah, those options that are described are I think all supported in there. One thing that we do specially is we have this boot from ROM capability, where it's definitely more secure in terms of a secure boot functionality, and also we have what we call a dual bank flash for MCXN devices, where you can actually do over the air update, read while write flash. You have two copies of your program image in different banks of flash, so you can do over the air update really easily.
Okay. Is there a list of existing Freedom boards that is supported?
So I would actually, I would actually go onto, for example, the application code hub, and you just type in, FRDM. You will see all kinds of examples with the boards that are supported. Another way to check it out is to, basically go to our SDK builder and also search for FRDM, and you will have all the board middleware there available.
Another answer to that question, it's what Daniel said, just a little clarification. So we have something called the expansion board hub, and the expansion board hub is accessible from the application code hub. What that is when you find an application, it'll list the expansion boards that are on the application, and you can pull down expansion boards and click on it, and it'll take you to a site that has the product information, the schematics, ordering information. But more importantly, if you click on a link that says show me the examples, it lists all of the examples for that shield. If you stay on the expansion board hub, you can back out of that specific board and see like 50 to 60 freedom boards that are supported, and more importantly use that same feature where you can select one of those freedom shields or an LCD panel or a Wi-Fi module or a sensor board, click on it, and then click show me the examples, and it'll show you inside of the application code hub all those like 10 to 20 examples that you could use with that board. So it makes it really quick to see which boards are available, and then directly like where are these examples that I can get up and running quickly.
Must be quite a job to keep that up to date. Next question. Are all the MCX micros 3 volts or are there 5 volt options?
So that's a good question. I understand that there are a massive need still.
I don't hear you anymore.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
So there is still a pretty strong need for 5 volt MCU, and we understand that. That's why, if you're familiar with, our KE family, those are our dedicated 5 volt MCUs that supports, a robust control for your application. Basically, as I said, the MCX is going to be moving on the mainstream MCU for our portfolio. At the same time, we're still, keeping a lot of what we call the application specific or targeted MCUs out there, like the digital signal controllers, like the KE family that support the 5 volt. So highly recommend to check those MCUs out.
Okay, thank you. Back to the VS Code plugin. Does it conflict with already installed Zephyr, or is it able to recognize it and use it?
Okay, this is a good question. So we released our extension last year in July, and we've supported Zephyr development 100% since the first release in July. What we noticed over the last 6 months is feedback from customers that our installation was installing Zephyr installing Python and some other tools, and sometimes overriding or conflicting with existing installations. So now when you install our extension, starting last week, we are doing a virtual Python environment. And so we're starting to use virtual environments to allow an existing installation not to have a conflict. So if a user never installed Zephyr, they get complete installation and they have complete support. If they have an existing installation, that will be left alone, and the MCUXpresso extension will install Zephyr support in a virtual environment. So we completely support Zephyr. You will continue to see NXP expand our Zephyr support. So if there's ever any question or issues, I would go to support at nxp.com and let us know immediately, because we want to make sure all our Zephyr fans are happy and working smoothly.
Okay, good initiative. Last question, as far as I can see. We're nicely on time. The MCX N947 board for AI applications, any special neural schemes? If so, can help with examples applications can take over. I'm not sure if I understand the question.
I'll try, Daniel, and then you can correct me if I'm wrong. So in the application code hub, again, on the N947, we have a ton of AI ML applications. So if you go into the application code hub and you put, there's a filter for AI ML. I think there's over 20 applications that go into different categories of AI. So it'll have um, anomaly detection, vision, uh, uh, person detection, facial detection. It has image recognition, MNIST, and the Canadian data sets. So you will have a lot of examples. We leverage our EIQ environment for most of those applications. We use EIQ, which is NXP's enablement for ML applications. However, there are a few. When you go into Application Code Hub, you'll see some that are using different models or different approaches. And so one of the benefits of Application Code Hub is the README file is very complete. So when you click on an application, AI application, you can read a full like application note of information. So you should be able to dig in and see which models they're using or which schemes they're using. And then there's either further resources or more information that you can get about what we use. But it's pretty rich. I don't know, Daniel, if you want to add anything to that answer.
Yeah. So Kyle said it really well. I think the EIQ toolchain is really the gist of machine learning from NXP. For MCUs, I took a wild guess that by any special neural schemes, you mean like different type of neural network models. So how the EIQ works is it supports deployment of the inference onto the device. So basically, if you're using, for example, TensorFlow Lite, you can train all kinds of models using that tool, which is open source, and then you can download that model, that inference onto the MCU using the EIQ toolchain. And what the EIQ toolchain does is it will automatically utilize the resource on your chip, right? If you have a core, if you have a neural processing unit, if you have any kind of accelerators, it will utilize all those hardware, resource to embed your inference onto the device, so you don't have to worry about how to allocate, your inference. So that's much easier than before, where you want to do machine learning on the MCUs.
Okay, well then our hour is over, so let's stop here. We started a little bit later, so we end also a bit later. Thank you, Kyle and Daniel, for doing this webinar with me, and thank you all for attending. We hope to see you again for the next Elector webinar. Goodbye.